Hello, my friends, EEARTS family. How are you?
Hey there, guys. Hope everybody's doing well. So, we want to put a couple of different messages together to give you guys. So, during our second meditation today, Cindy got a lot of, you got a lot of people knocking at your door, basically.
I do, and it's a little bit overwhelming. But I mean, I have like the Pleiadian Council, I have the Galactic Federation, I have the Archangels, I have a lot of other guides that I can't name that are all crowded around me, talking to me, talk, 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 talk. They want me to express to you guys that we need to learn how to get in touch with your guides. They want to be more specific with you. They want to be more personal with you. They have personal messages for you. And even though I can hear some, there's certain things that no matter how good a channel you are, you're not going to get it right. It's a personal message.
So, in other words, there's a real big urgency right now on the other side
Yes.
that your guides want to get in contact with each and every one of you. And now this feels that's because we're coming into a period of time that can be challenging, trying, and tumultuous.
Yeah, that's what we're moving into. And I mean, I know time is short and time is just getting shorter, but I think the most important thing to do now is to learn to seriously go within. They're just it's a little bit overwhelming. They're like tell people to go within, tell people to find love, tell people to find oneness. Self-love, work on yourself, so you can get these messages personally.
Yeah, I woke up a couple of nights ago and the room was full of beings. It was just full of them. And there's like a state when you're in between, being awake and wakening up. And when I'm in that state, then I could see things really clearly, really clearly. So I could make out all the different faces, and they all seem very urgent. And, sometimes with these discarnate beings, people that are not in the body anymore, it could be very just personal. It's just that they recognize that you're somebody that can see them, sense them, sometimes hear them. And so they want to communicate to you. And other times it could be about your own situation and what you are going to be going through. So, about 4 days ago in meditation, I got a clear message, and it said to me December 17th through 21st, changing of the guard. There's going to be a big shift and a big change in that time period, December 17th through 21st. And I didn't know why. And then I just plugged the dates in to see, well, what's going on in that time period. And here you see from Earth sky, before 2020 ends, a great conjunction of Jupiter and Saturn. So as it turns out, there's a conjunction of Jupiter and Saturn that's going to occur on the 21st. So that would be the last day of that time frame that they were telling me that there's going to be a great changing of the guard. Interesting coincidence. I don't think there are any coincidences. I think these are synchronicities and messages, definitely. Cindy's more the astrology person than me, but it turns out that time frame has a huge astrological importance to it. And so, Saturn and Jupiter have very different personalities. Wouldn't you say so, Cindy?
Like night and day.
Yeah.
Like Jupiter is your divine wisdom. Saturn is kind of your rule setter, the one who's going to make the boundaries and make you stick with them type attitude.
Very, very different energies. And, some believe that Saturn could have been our original sun. Had a very good discussion today, a great session with one of our family members who's very, very knowledgeable and insightful as well as gifted. And we were talking about this, and it's interesting too. Saturn, sometimes has been equated with Satan as well. But also interesting that, you take the Jewish tradition and the Sabbath is on Saturday, which is Saturn's day. It's all really, really interesting when we look at this. But the fact that there's this conjunction, that's going to be happening in that time frame, I found fascinating because I didn't know it. I didn't know that that was going to happen. And so when we see here too now, let me give you a little background. So known as the Great Conjunction, the cyclical conjunction between Jupiter and Saturn that occurs every 20 years, has been the preeminent method of demarcating historical eras in traditional astrology. That's a big one. When Jupiter and Saturn come together, there's both an intensity of the old forms dying, as well as the fertility of new growth beginning to take shape. In the past century, their cycle has aligned with transition in between decades, with the conjunctions and oppositions between Saturn and Jupiter marking the start of each decade. For example, there was a Jupiter and Saturn conjunction in 1980, an opposition in 1990, a conjunction in 2000, and opposition in 2010. Jupiter and Saturn will form their next conjunction on December 21st of 2020 in the first degree of Aquarius. That's interesting as well. They're going into Aquarius. And so most of 2020 will take place during the end of their cycle. There will be an atmosphere of anticipation building during the year. Sure. Yeah, that's an understatement. Of being on the precipice of a new era, while simultaneously old issues will resurface and need a resolution. Together, Jupiter and Saturn combine expansive and imaginative vision with the structure and discipline needed to both manifest results as well as strip away the inessential. While Jupiter signifies generosity and fortunate opportunities, it can also lead to egoic greed and delusions of grandeur that require the contemplative focus of Saturn to trim the excess and strengthen what is ready to ripen. At the same time, we need the inspirational revitalization of Jupiter to mediate the negative side of Saturn that can bring fear over limitations and obstacles and lead to depressive stagnation. During 2020, we will be in a constant balancing act of tempering between Jupiter and Saturn, with a need to shift in between the synthesizing growth of Jupiter and the methodical reordering of Saturn. Though the conjunction of Jupiter and Saturn every 20 years is always important, their union in 2020 has special and extraordinary significance. Jupiter and Saturn have a pattern of forming their conjunctions in the same element of astrology for approximately 200 years, such as occurring in water signs from the beginning of the 15th century until the beginning of the 17th century, in fire signs from the beginning of the 17th century until the beginning of the 19th century. Since 1802, Saturn and Jupiter conjunctions have been occurring in earth signs, with the final one occurring May 28th of 2000 in Taurus. After that, the conjunction of Jupiter and Saturn in Aquarius in 2020, there will continue to be only conjunctions between Jupiter and Saturn in tropical air signs until 2159. Thus, 2020 is at the end of a 200-year era of Jupiter and Saturn uniting in earth signs. While the earth element signifies focus on material security and consolidation of resources that is resistant to change, the era of air will bring disruption to established orders and a dramatic change in the collective ideas and the way we communicate. Vitally, not only will Jupiter and Saturn be uniting in Aquarius, they will also be forming a catalytic square aspect with Uranus in Taurus. At this pivotal moment in our journey, the lightning bolts of Jupiter and Uranus will not only bring down old societal structures, but it will also impel us to release old personal dreams and dramas that we have been attached to. There will be new challenges and unknown potential arising as we begin a new era of Jupiter and Saturn that we will need to make space for in our lives. During 2020, ask yourself what you need to leave behind and what you truly desire to carry forward. Interesting.
Yeah, I think that's probably the single most important question you can ask yourself. And getting in touch with your guides and your higher self is ask yourself what you need to leave behind and what you truly desire to carry forward. Release what no longer serves you. And these are very important times for us to make good decisions. You know, Nothing's a mistake. There are no mistakes. So if things seem to be a little bit rocky in your life, maybe you're being guided to do something else. Maybe you need to take a closer look at things, to find the divine lesson in these things. There's just so much we can learn and so much we can do in this time. These are just fantastic times.
Well, fantastically challenging, but fantastic opportunity as well for growth. Recognizing again that we are spiritual beings, we are consciousness that is going to go on. We're having a physical experience right now in these 3D human bodies, but we are consciousness. We're the observer, and so we have to recognize that, and we come in to learn. So the other thing that's really interesting too is the X marks the spot, the 2 eclipses, and 2 total solar eclipses in 7 years. And who can deny that from around August 21st, 2017 forward, it's been just amplified with everything in our world. The earth changes going crazy. We had 3 hurricanes that followed right after this, that first eclipse. As I've said before, look at the path of the eclipse. Right here, you're going through Cascadia. It comes right through Oregon, drops down, boom, New Madrid in the middle. And then over here in Charleston, there's also the potential for very large quakes. And then coming over here, going through the St. Lawrence, which is also kind of a rift zone. And then coming, boom, as we said, New Madrid right there. And then out through Mexico, where this is another area where we get some very, very large quakes. I don't think it's just about quake activity, although I do expect there to be a lot of quakes in this time period. X marks the spot directly over the New Madrid. And of course, Dutch has been covering everything that's going on with the New Madrid. There's so many people that have been talking about sulfur and smelling things and lights from the sky. So much. Hard to keep up with it all. It really, really is. But the curious thing about this is, if you put those 2 dates in a median date calendar, the middle day is the 13th of December, 2020. So, we're looking at just like a week, 4 days before the beginning of that time period that they told me of, and just basically a week later, you have it. So it feels like things are going to be ramping up.
Mm-hmm. Well, yeah, and I look at the energies of the planets when they do move into a certain alignment. It takes time for those vibrations and those energies to reach Earth and actually affect people. So to me, it makes sense it would show up December 13th. So the effects would be a few days later after that.
Yeah, and it doesn't necessarily mean that there's going to be some cataclysmic event that happens in that time period of the 17th to 21st. Right. More like when you look back and you say pivotal dates in history, pivotal times in history, this is where perceptions shift. And all of a sudden, perhaps it's the fact that all of a sudden we get, closer to the majority waking up, red pilling and recognizing, hey, something isn't right here. It could be that. It could be a time period when, other things happen politically, geopolitically. I mean, we don't know what the results on November 3rd are going to be. We don't know if we're going to have results on November 3rd or 2 weeks after that, or who knows if we'll have results by Inauguration Day or if there will be an inauguration. We don't know. But this is like it feels strongly like this is a really important critical time period. And it does feel like right now, there's a strong urgency coming from the guides, coming from the Pleiadians, just about all of them. As we said, Archangel Metatron, Cindy never channeled him before, and he came through loud and clear. The archangels we've worked with a lot for decades, and they're coming through loud and clear. And they want everybody to use your intention. It's time for everybody to get together, and pool their intentions. That we wake up. We wake this planet up, and we stop the madness on the planet. So I'll play for you guys, and this was a short one. The last channeling session we got, and it was different in that it wasn't the Galactic Federation, it was the Pleiadian High Council. And it felt different. Cindy said it felt very, very different, but she wasn't able to maintain it for too long.
No, I couldn't hold that one for very long, but we did get some stuff.
Okay, so I'll share this with you guys.
Do we have a connection?
We have a connection with Laurel. She's representing the Pleiadian Council. Can you please cover your channel's heart? Assist her so she does not have any damage.
What do you want to tell us this time?
We see your human experiences on a journey of self-discovery. However, it's been taken over by reptilians, and right now you are hung up on an election from your people. Your people are suffering. They are in fear. You need to help them understand that they are not broken. They need to come back to the present moment. They are projecting what we feel is too much fear at this time. They need to accept themselves for who they are and their journey and their mission at this moment in time. Stop trying to fix yourself. You are not broken.
The whole mindset that we've been given, that we are flawed individuals, that we are born into original sin, taking it from the Judeo-Christian tradition, it all has always seemed to me to be a means to keep people in a lower state of vibration and under control and feel down about themselves.
They have used this for hundreds of years to show people how they are broken and flawed, and they need to make some kind of change in themselves. This has taken away your human experience.
So the election itself, is the outcome predetermined?
There are many different outcomes. Without focusing on the election too much, the most important thing is that people understand and accept who they are. Many things are going to change with this election. They are causing as much external chaos as possible to keep you from standing in your power and focusing on yourself. These things will matter. These things are very important for the human experience to not... I'm losing it.
Okay, so that was all she got that came through. But that's a big statement because, our experience here has been hijacked by belief systems. And, those belief systems, they're not just religious, they are also political as well.
Mm-hmm. They are. And, I firmly believe we need to raise the vibration. And the best way to do that is to recognize and acknowledge who you are and live in the moment, and just be, ride the waves, go with the flow. Don't this election is really throwing a huge wrench in our experience and could very well lower the vibration, and with outcomes the way they are, I think our vibration is critical right now.
Absolutely, because it's all about ascension. So, it's all about going higher and higher into higher places. It's all about clearing the old energy. As we were just reading, it's about what do you need to let go. And so they know all this. So what they're going to do is what they are doing. And they're trying to do everything possible to lower your vibrations, to pull you into anger, to pull you into frustration, to pull you into a place where you're not growing spiritually, where you're not letting go of the things that you need to let go so you could rise up, because that will take us way out of their zone of influence.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, exactly. So just had to get this across to you guys. Hopefully it's reached plenty of people, and hopefully it's touched your heart in a way that's going to change your life and, put you on a course to your higher self, because it's really all about you ultimately, and having a good human experience being here on the planet, helping to raise the vibration, because Gaia is going to ascend too.
Yes, basically with or without us. So, that is our job here, is to anchor the light and to assist Gaia, as we are part of her, just as there are trillions of cells in your body. We are each a cell in Gaia's body. So we must acknowledge that, and we must become, we must be living in a more harmonious manner. So guys, thank you so much for your support on Ko-Fi and Patreon. Anybody that needs to reach out to us, do so at EEARTS at protonmail.com or evolutionaryenergyarts at gmail.com. As always, guys, God bless and namaste.
Namaste.